Well, it's JBSC, John Black Super Chemist. Finished off with, oh God, I can't even remember where the hell I was at, man. Oh, abortion. Yeah, an abortion, you're allowed to get an abortion in the Jewish Bible, which is a Christian Bible. And God gives you instructions on how to do it. And, but you can only do it if you cheated and the guy you're with, your husband, he's not comfortable with it. If he's okay with it, then no big deal. But if he's like, you know, mad about it and he's, jealous about it and whatever, then yeah, then God is for abortion. Okay, not only is he for it, he actually, in a way, he does the abortion. Okay, but he gives you the instructions on how to do it. Okay, like I said, I'll tell you the verses, but don't ask me if you don't give a crap. Okay, if you if you know in your mind, hey, if I go to those verses and I see that John Black was right, I'm going to change my opinion. Okay, if it's not going to change your opinion, and you're still going to say, oh well, God's never wrong, so he must have been right when he was doing the human sacrifices and the slavery and the abortion and the rape and the pedophilia. Okay, if you're not going to change your mind, if it doesn't change your mind, it doesn't matter either way. Then don't bother me to make me look it up and tell you what verse it is, okay? Because I am so tired. I have more than a half a century of time and a lot given to Christians, showing them what is in there, and they don't care. If you're one of those people that don't care, don't ask me. If you're just going to go read it and say, oh, well, yes, he was right, but I still ain't going to change my opinion, so don't ask. Now, if you say to yourself, you know what, if he's right, I'm going to have to at least change my opinion, or at least change my opinion about this one thing and start looking into this crap, man. This don't sound right. This isn't my belief system. I don't believe in human sacrifice, slavery, abortion, rape, pedophilia, child rape, discrimination, racism, torture, animal sacrifice, genocide. These are your beliefs. Punish the son for the father's sins. That's your beliefs. So, anyways, I did want to bring up. Okay. I'll bring up the last thing now I've gone through all these with my mother, right? Every time her showing me that she will do, if she thinks God wants her to human sacrifice, she'll do it. If she thinks God wants her to do slavery, she'll do it. Like, you know what I mean? If he wants it, then it ain't wrong. Okay, she's proved it. Okay, with all these whatevers. But then I get to the last one because I saved it last because it's the worst one, man. It's about child rape, okay? And I tell her that this is happening in another country, third world country, you know what I mean, obviously. And I say that one country went into the other country, or the one city went into the other city, I can't remember, whatever. And I said that they killed all the men, all the women, all the little boys, but the little girls, they took them and kept them alive, okay? And then the ones that were virgins, they kept alive, and the ones that were not virgins, they killed. And so how do you think they found out if they were a virgin or not? There's only one way they could have. You know what I mean? They bent them over and stuck their fingers up there and seen if they were virgins, man. And if they weren't virgins, then they were killed. Now, the ones that were left, what they did with those virgin little girls, right, is they kept them and lined them up, and then they choose, the people that just took over the country and killed all their family right in front of them, the parents and brothers and sisters. They chose which ones they wanted to take as wives. They forced them to marry them. But before they did that, when they chose them, they ripped off all their fingernails out of their hands, okay? And they shaved all their hair off of their head. Then they forced them to marry them, and then they obviously raped them for the rest of their lives and, made them into slaves, basically. And I'm asking her about, what did she think about that? So obviously she's like, oh my God, this is horrible, horrible. How could that happen? I says, well, can't you ever think it? And I always ask a bunch of questions, after the story, you know what I mean? I don't just ask one or two. I ask her a bunch, actually. I'll be like, well, what? There's no way that you can think that this might be right, and maybe you're not missing some of the story. You're missing some of it. You don't know some of the facts. I don't care what the facts are. That I've heard enough to know that none of that. Why would you even think that would be might be right? There's no situation that could be right where you rape little children like that and kill off all their parents and all their siblings. Oh, that's not. Yeah, yeah. Then I take her to the Bible and I show her the verse, you know what I mean? And this is what's funny is this is one of the verses that she couldn't dispute because it's just it's short and it's right to the, you can't misinterpret it. There's only one interpretation. The Bible, you can interpret it 100 million different ways. 99% of the Bible, you know what I mean? Or 90% of the Bible or whatever. But I'm making up numbers. But there's some verses that you cannot, like do not murder. You know what I mean? You cannot change that around. Do not murder means do not murder. You can't interpret that any other way. And it was the same way with this story with the child rape. So then she sees the thingy. I make her read it. I make her admit that that's the same exact story I just told her about, okay, where she said it was evil, evil, evil. And in the verse, God is speaking, okay? It's telling the people, the Jews, go do this. This is what you do. You kill all the men, all the women, all the little boys, the little girls. And depending on your Bible, some will say girls, some will say little girls. But they say take all the girls, and then check out, shove your fingers up their twat to see if they're virgins. So anyway, so I make her read it, and she knows it's from God. She knows it's in the Bible, and it's God talking. So I'm like, what? And I go into. She puts her head down. She's crying. She is crying. Okay, at this point, because she knows she's feeling so much shame. That's what I'm saying. If you feel shame about your belief system, then your belief system is screwed up, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm not ashamed of any of my belief systems. Like, I believe that child rape is wrong. Boom. I don't put my head down and cry about it. I'm not ashamed about it like she is. But, okay. So I'm getting on her, saying, well, you're going to go to hell and blah, 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 you're old, blah, blah, blah. And she sticks her head up. She's mad. She is mad. She goes, believe it or not, after hearing a story about men going into a city and murdering everyone but the little girls and then raping the little girls, after, of course, they force them to marry them, okay? Because, of course, any little girl that sees their parents just murdered, their entire family murdered, their entire city murdered in front of them, of course they're going to want to marry that guy, right? You know what I mean? So that's a legal marriage, right? So I don't know if it's not rape or not then, since they're legally married, right? But she gets up and she puts her head up and she says mad and she says loud, well, I'm sure they didn't just take those little girls and take them and chain them up outside and just not feed them, make them sit outside in the rain all chained up. Are you? See, my mom is a true Christian. That's a true Christian. And you can sit there and say, oh, I'm a Christian, but I don't, that's not right, man. Well, then if it's not right, then God is not right. And why are you worshiping him if he's not right? You know what I mean? It's like, but anyways, then of course, I was freaking out and, I had to leave or I'd end up killing her. Because that is not right to say after you hear a story about little girls being raped and tortured and and to say, well, I'm sure they didn't torture them when they got them home. They chained them up outside. I'm sure they gave them food and gave them shelter. That's what she said. She said, yes, she actually said those words. They gave, I'm sure they gave them food and shelter and made sure that they were safe. Yeah, the rapist who just murdered their entire family and city. Yeah, I'm sure they made them feel real safe. I'm sure they made them feel safe. Yeah. So, of course, at that point, that was the end of my, doing this experiment. So at that point, I knew that, if God, like she just heard a story about God telling people to do this, go rape children, and not only that, rape them for the rest of their lives and make them into slaves. She just heard that, and her response was, I'm sure that they didn't chain them outside. I'm sure they made sure they were safe and got food and shelter. At that point, and keep in mind, this is after 15, 20 stories, going into the belief system that she has or whatever, you know what I mean? But at that point, I knew, there's no doubt in my mind to this today, that if she even thought even slightly that God wanted her to tie me to a chair, rape me, torture me, and kill me, that she would do it. And not only would she do it, she would be happy to do it, because she would be doing something for God. And that's my mother. This is a woman that I've known since I was a young teenager, say, 10, 12 years old. Since I was 12, I've known that if she wakes up in the middle of the night and she had a dream that God came to her and said, hey man, John Bucks, he's evil, go kill him, go torture him, go rape him, time to chair rape him, she would do it. And I've known that since I was like 12. But I confirmed it. I mean, I didn't know it when I was 12. I just suspected it. I was 100% sure that I thought I was right, but there's always a chance that, I didn't know 100%. But then after these 15 stories and that last thing with the little girls, her saying that crap, I knew at that moment that I was 110% sure that there is nothing evil that this woman would not do to please this God that she believes in. Nothing. And it doesn't make what she does wrong. Because if God does it or God decrees it, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. Just like with the woke, Everything is, it's not wrong to call people and make lies up on them and get them fired and harass them and, all this other stuff, get them indicted for stuff and make up stuff like with Trump and that and all this crap. I lost my train of thought, man. I lost my train of thought. And this is the good parent, okay? This is the good parent. The other parent was real evil, okay? My mother's actually a pretty good person, Most Christians are pretty good people, you know what I mean? They don't understand. They don't know what they're doing is the thing. It's like the woke people. You look at the woke people, that they're just crazy, you know what I mean? And you're like, these people are just crazy, and everything they do is harmful, and evil, and hateful. But they're brainwashed, just like the Christian. I can't really be. The woke people are actually pretty good people. I mean, not at the top. They're controlling everything, but the puppets, the peons down at the bottom, that are just following and followers basically. Those people, those are basically good people. They've been brainwashed. They have a religion, and they put that beyond everything else, and that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it.